This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We are in Djuma Private Game Reserve, just admiring the dramatic skies. It's very cloudy, but you can see the blue sky is breaking through, and that's what we want. We want blue skies for today. So welcome everyone. It's that time of day for your live safari through the African bush. Pleasure to have you with us, everyone, on all the safari vehicles that you're going to be jumping on the back of today from different locations. But this location, as I already mentioned, is one of the best, Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera today, and we've just stopped on quarantine to admire the views. And of course, this is the best place and the best time, actually, to listen, look for tracks, and try and figure out if anything happened last night. But so far we have not came up with very much, I'm afraid. It's a really pleasant morning, 22 degrees Celsius and 71 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a funny feeling that sun is going to burst through, and well, in no time we'll be complaining about the heat. So before I forget, you must talk to us. If you're on Twitter, use the hashtag WildEarth. If you're chatting on the YouTube chat stream, please use @FC, which stands for @Final Control. Or if you're under the age of 18, please do email us. That means we can see your questions, and they're normally the best. Let's face it. The email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And lastly, there's another option, and that is to head over to the Wild Earth website, and you can go to the live safari page and submit your questions there. Lots of different options for you all. Doesn't have to be questions. Leave your comments too. If it gets a bit tedious out here, we do enjoy a good old joke now and then to make us laugh. But I think we have somewhere to be, Javi. Do you know where that is?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. I think everyone knows where that is. We're going straight for the hyena den. I'm hoping the adults will be there, but Tingana is on a kill, just not too far from the dam cam. He's got that impala hoisted, so I do wonder if many of the adults will be waiting underneath the duke. But anyway, I'm going to bumble on there, and now we're going to send you across to Andrew to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. Here this morning we had a beautiful Tingana with his kill. As you can see, he's busy feasting there. All of the breakfast that he tried harder to get since yesterday. My name's Andrew. On camera I have Simon this morning. So it was actually timing of visiting this Tingana male. And then he's right there now feeding. So it's a good timing that he's up there feeding. And it's been a long night for him to be able to continuously carry on climbing that tree for eating, because he cannot put the meat on, not to let it down, otherwise there's a hyena here on the ground who would probably going to have it all. The hyena is actually really aiming for it, and the time is going to drop, or is any chance. and hyena would steal it. Ooh, be careful. I think it's not balanced anymore, so you will try to balance it so it mustn't fall out. Critter freak. So thanks for the comment. He's saying a great start or morning with the Tingana feeding. Indeed, it's such a very good sighting. We've been seeing him moving without feeding, so this is actually best time to spend with him, watching him having a breakfast. And the hyena still now is up, because then it was a little bit of a falling off bones. All she does is just to make sure that she pick anything that fall off. So this, feeding of a leopard, for the sensitive viewers, we're sorry about that, but we come to this position where Tingana is now feeding, and I know you're out there, then you may try, maybe avoid for now until you'll probably go down, lie down, and that's where you're gonna have a sighting of him, and I'm sure I won't be disturbed for now yet, because not a lot of vehicles that are out that I'm aware of, not yet, but there will be. James, so you're saying you're happy that Tingana managed to keep the kill over the night. And I always say it, because I was not too sure what is going to happen when they say the meat was on the ground yesterday. And all I worried about maybe the hyena will be visiting here, which they did. So it was actually a good call that he made there, putting that kill up in trees. Now we still have a feast. And there's still plenty of meat that's still there. So it's going to probably keep him going for maybe today, the whole day.
Music I am not active.
So you're asking if Tingana made his kill by himself? Yes, he did. In fact, the other guy followed him early in the morning just before we started. And he was just traveling from one camp to another, and then he kind of like gave us a call. There's a Tingana heading kind of this direction of the dam. And he said it was in Impala on the far eastern side of a dam. We came look around here, and then he was not around. And the other guy came in, the second guy looked around, was not around. The third guy that came in here, and that's the one that discovered the kill that he was found. And then he sort of like ran away from him. So he made it by himself. Actually struggling to keep it balanced, but you mustn't lose it because it's a female. Impala doesn't have a horn to hook in this little fog of a tree, and it may drop if it's a chance, which we don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna stay put here while we have a chance and see what he does. Probably come down or for a drink while we're around.
Has it just pretended to be dead? Oh, that was amazing. I can't. How do I it's like that is hands down the coolest.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, my name is Taylor McCurdy and I'm coming to you from eco training here on Pridelands. My most favorite animal in Africa has to be the elephant that's behind me, and this is Kumo, you'll meet him. But elephants just in general, they're really sociable, they're always doing something, and I love to see the interactions between the members of the herd.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
So now the hyena is still scratching himself. We're hoping for anything is gonna fall. So when we came down here, it was a leopard track on quarantine itself. And the female could be Tlalamba, could be Shidulu, because she was seen in an area south of that. And when I'm in this area here, I'm kind of like looking out, because I know they won't cooperate, or they will probably want to share, even though it's not possible. Since females are so young in size, are small, they won't push themselves into this position. Especially, it's not their kill, it's his kill right now. They're more likely to wait for a distance. But it's no sort of like any aggression, that is any cat around here. No sign. He's not looking around, worrying of anything. Karen, say, you're asking which part of an animal that leopard won't feast on. If it's a fully grown antelope, these kudus, then they would avoid hoofs. Males, they would avoid a horn. Skull, because there's so much strong bone, they can't crunch, but they will take any of her skin around the head of antelope, where this is the female. All you will see finally, the bottom jaw will be chowed off, and the nostrils will be eaten, faces and that, eyes will be taken off. Possible that crunch all of his, hoof, if there is possible there. But yeah, anything will be eaten, an impala, female impala, except for male, where the horns are there, then you won't eat on a horn. And also the contents, which it's got to be emptied first before you bring it up in trees that kill. And the hair on their skin, many of them won't be eaten, but some will be taken. Sure, it looks like it's hanging so much. So it was a decent size of an impala, which is great for him. To spend some days around here, Gary Dam. Christina, thanks for the comment. So he's saying leopard are the master of the balance. Yeah, they are. In that very top of this tree here, and they all just make sure they don't fall off, even there's a lot of movement. Feeding in that tree sometimes can't be comfortable for most leopards. That's why they prefer the ground, where they can take it easy, feeding even lying, and sitting up in those type. So in trees, it's for safety of their kill, also of themselves, but it's not comfortable for them to feed in that. He's gonna come down while we're here. In this tree that the meat is on right now, it's one of the called Tamboti trees. You just heard a hip on the background because the dam is right there, Gurry Dam. Probably one of the hippo in there. So any of the trees leopard can climb, not only marula trees. It's so that marula trees is easy for them. So Karen, you're asking if leopard prefer any of this tree around here or specific? If there is a marula trees around, of course they love it so much because it's easy for them to climb that tree, soft bark, and we're able to use their claw to support the whole body up with the whole fully load of impalas immediately. Then any of the tree that is available, if there's no marula, leopard can use, and they're very good climb. Seeing them climb these thorny trees. So any of the trees out here, they can climb, but their favorite is the marula tree. They actually they are so passionate. They wait for something to happen. And this hyena, you find it's been in this position since last night maybe, or before. Still around. Wait and wait. Just like vultures. So I'm gonna stay put again while I'm sending you over across to Lauren with her bird.
We are trying very hard to show you something. It is not just a hornbow. Believe it or not, everyone, this is the African grey hornbow, one that we very rarely get to put on camera. We always get the red-billed, we always get the yellow-billed, but this is the African grey hornbow. And although it's not uncommon here, it's a common resident, very difficult to put on camera, very flighty. So this is actually quite a unique, I don't think I've managed to put one on camera for a very long time. You can see the beak is a similar shape to the red-billed, but you can see it's grey in colour with that yellow stripe. I think this is the male. The females actually have a very, very red tip at the end of their beak. The males are also bigger than females, so when you see them together, you will see that the male is larger. But they are monogamous, so you will find them together. Is that the other one over there, Davy? Just here. Yes, it is, and it's calling. This also looks like a male, though. 2 grey hornbows and 1 sighting. My goodness me. And away they go. It was never going to last long. But we got lucky. They eat insects. And for some reason, they're very flighty. But it's not that they're uncommon. We do get them a lot here. We just tend to get better sightings with the red-bills and the yellow-bills. Can you see them, or have we completely lost them? Voila! Right at the top of the tree. You get lots of different species of hornbows, especially in Asia. If you Google hornbows in Asia, you'll see some very elaborate, multicolored species that you find there. Megan, I agree, it's very cool. We really don't get to see them often. From a distance, it does look like the red-billed, but obviously it's not. It's the grey-billed. They're not as big as the yellow-billed, especially that big banana beak. They're smaller, but they're just lovely, lovely birds to see. Just not easy to get on camera. But it's a good start to the morning. We are going to loop back round and see if we can get anywhere with those female leopard tracks. Okay, so we're going to continue bumbling, and for now we're going to send you back to Mr. Tingana.
You forgot a bit. So our Tingana is on the bottom, and now we just come down, rest on the ground, like we talk about comfortable is on the ground. Trees for them is for safety, but it's keeping an eye on that meat because it doesn't trust that branches maybe. And if it's not balanced enough, it happens a lot of time when the leopard have gone away from the kill, fell off while they're gone, because maybe it's not balanced enough. But that looks like balanced to me. That's all about cleaning himself, so stay clean, because he was actually eating. All the face all full of bloody smell and that. So he will lick himself the paws and wipe the faces. And as you're asking if leopard ever vomits, if they ever ate too much, I actually haven't seen that yet. and not when they are full stomach. But I've seen a leopard, vomit for their own benefit of their tummy when they're hungry, where the acid sometimes burn them so much and it's very sore on their tummy, and they would feed on grasses. For that, they would throw out the dirty or acid. From eating too much, every time is too much we're talking about sometimes can be 2 kilogram, 3 kilogram, 3.5 kilogram, depend on how big a cat it is. And then from there, it's enough. You will rest a little bit, digest. In the next few hours, 4 hours sometimes, you will return to eat. So it's always amount of the food they need at the time they eat. Of course, if there is something they don't like, or probably something they need to throw out, it's not a problem, they can. Lions also can throw out fur if it's so much of fur in there and there's not much meat was in it. So West Coast, we're asking if the hyena leave. No, he just moves slightly and then lay down on the far side. So he's still around here. All you've seen here, it's all of the flies that take places. Because the meat now is getting smelly a little bit. And this kill what happened, actually happened yesterday morning, I think. The whole entire day yesterday was here, and then today, even though there's still a little bit of meat that is gone, but the flies are already involved. And what I can smell also, and maybe during the day there will be vultures visiting here, type of eagles, because one smell spread up, all the other scavengers get attracted. All cats paint when they're full stomach. Those of you who were on the shore yesterday afternoon, we watched that male lion. After drink water, then he was doing the same. But painting like that is because the tummy is so full and control the lungs. Or lung has to control amount of air and he has to breathe faster. Because now the lungs are all pretty much in one place. Since the tummy expands a bit. and he's doing great that he still hunt, and then still a lot of energy with his cat, Tingana. And normally for leopards, between kills and the next one is anything from 4 days, sometimes depend on our success on hunting. Some 7 days before next kill, some 3 days before next kill. So maybe he's gonna go down to drink water, or he's gonna lie down there flat. So I'm gonna stay put here. While we got this chance, I'm gonna be sending you across to Lauren.
We have a slightly more unusual bird. We normally hear them, but we definitely do not see them as often as we see the other franklins. This is the Coiki Franklin. Slightly unsure, moving very slowly through the thicket here. But these ones are my favorite. They have a very ridiculous call as well. I'm not going to do it because, well, that could be embarrassing. But when I get up ahead, I can play it for you. We normally see the crested franklin far more often than we see this one. It's disappeared into the grass. Now, I'm not having much luck on my side, but what we've done is just a big loop just to see if you're behind an animal in their tracks. I drove that road last night, so what that tells you is from around 8 o'clock until this morning was when that female leopard moved. That's a big window of time, so it's definitely fresh, but was it last night before midnight? Or was it in the wee early hours of the morning? You do not know. So either way, you're behind the animal. And you're trying to think who it could be. Process of elimination. You could be wrong, but it's a female. Judging by the roads used, I would personally guess Shidulu, coming backing, or Tlalamba. So you've got your speculations as to who it could be and where they would go from there. So we're trying to do a loop round to see if they pop out or pop across. And if they don't, then it would generally tend to mean they're still in the central area. Now, of course, you could get it wrong, but it's better just to take a wider loop and see if you can pick up on the animal, because, of course, she could have moved a good 8 hours ago, which is a very long time out here in the bush. So although they're fresh, it's very difficult to determine exactly how fresh. But I don't see anything other than the good old hyena. And I'm desperate to know what hyena is with Tingana. Don't know if it's been identified, but I would love to know who it is. So we'll go back to quarantine. It's quite a productive area. Both Shidulu and Tlalamba like it there. And we'll see if we can spot anything. Okay, so wish me luck on my search, but for now, let's go back over to Tungana.
Good luck, Lorraine. Now there's no change. Tungana is still on the ground, and the hyena is still far distance. Very tall grasses here. As you can see how he's trying to hide, not to hide, but there's no chance. This grass is being so tall. And he's even taking it easy, closing his eyes. Oh, he says no. So leopards that do scavenge from one another, same species. But male will do that to the females. And to any weakest male. They will steal from one another, and they can steal from dogs if it's a chance. And so they're scavengers as well, not only hyena. Now the difference between a cheetah and a leopard is that, cheetah, they wouldn't prefer a river like this where we are. And they're more hunt in the open, kill in the open, eat right in the open. And they wouldn't spend more days than they kill the cheetah. Where leopard would spend more days until the meat is finished. In a hunt in this river, thicket, covered area. And they are nocturnal. So Karen, so you say if it happened at kill fall and then you were able to have it back and trying to get it back to the tree again, in that case, you will immediately while the hyena is here, then he's also concerned that you can see here, he's always checking if it's still stable, control up there so it doesn't fall. But with the hyena, once the hyena is involved, sure, okay. No, that it was for a bird that he was trying to hissing for. In fact, it was a stork that flew close by to the dam, but he's maybe thinking of vultures trying to scavenge there. Yeah, but a lot of time they lost their kill to hyenas. The hyenas are strong. One hyena can still steal this kill from him. Willie, you're asking if a vulture can ever scavenge from the hostile prey? Yes, if there's no presence of owner of the meat there around. They will even eat from trees. They won't bring it down, they will feed from that tree. But leopards also one of the cleverest cats. The way it is now, it's very well hidden in there. For a vulture to get there, has to first land in one of the trees and take easy branches to get there. And tawny eagle as well, they can feed from trees. Those battle eagle, they can feed from the tree also. So there is a double trouble now where on the ground there's hyena, presence of hyena. On top it's a less trouble because these vultures and all eagles are scared of cats. When the cats are there, and there was no chance for them to take that kill or feed in it. Look, so much already been taken. Feeding methods is that they pluck the fur off, get into the flesh, skin, bones. So easy to be taken. They have a conical teeth which allows them to chop like a knife, but very strong. So I'm gonna stay put. Looks like he's gonna go up there again, but let's see.
Sometimes on drive, I just like to take a breather. It's a lot of driving. Sometimes we drive for up to 7 hours per day. That would get you to Joburg from here. Sometimes take a breather, admire the view, make a plan, and listen. Sometimes it's hard to hear over your engine. So Davi's going to work his magic, and we're just going to admire this view for a moment.
Any updates?
Okay, that wasn't as peaceful as I thought. Good morning, Nigel. Let's try that again. Isn't it beautiful? I'm glad it's still cooler. That means the predators could still be moving. So I'm going to keep trying just to figure out where this leopardess went, and hopefully we will get lucky and spot some spots soon.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We've come out this morning to the western parts of Phinda, to the open grasslands, which you can see in the background of this marabou stalk. Just to have a look around here this morning. for a little bit of a change of scenery for us. And yeah, we've come to check out a little waterhole and we found this marabou stork. My name is Grant, and behind the camera this morning is Owen. And yeah, I thought we'd come out to look at the open grassy areas, see if we could find some lions to start off with this morning. And we've just stopped at a waterhole or a little pan system that the lions do spend quite a bit of time around. And there's just that one marabou stork walking around. And every now and then it is plucking or picking something up off the ground. I wasn't able to see exactly what it was, but I was just listening to that update on the radio about some lion tracks, the lions that I wanted to come and look for this morning. And so not too far from here there are some tracks. But what we're doing at the moment is just watching that marabou stork, also listening out if we might hear any alarm calls. It's quite a nice and cool morning. We've got a lot of cloud cover and there's a bit of a stiff breeze blowing. I'm wearing my fleece this morning for the first time, I think, in a couple of months. So it is quite chilly, which is great for the predators, for lions and leopards. But the lions that we wanted to come and look for in this area could have been active last night, but with this weather we're having at the moment, they might still be a bit active. That's what we're hoping. So if they're moving around and some of the antelopes like impalas or maybe some wildebeest or zebra are able to spot them, we might hear those alarm calls and it can help us to find the lions. But this area has got some really pretty rolling hills. What we're going to do is we're going to just drive around and get to some vantage points, some slightly higher spots, and then we'll scan with our binoculars, looking for any movement. This is also a great area for rhinos, both black and white rhinos in this area. Oh, some Egyptian geese have just joined the marabou stork. That is, it's definitely a big stork. Standing upright, the marabou stork's probably about 1.5, so 150 centimeters tall. And quite a tough, quite a vicious bird. And Owen was actually just telling us a story about the marabou storks actually grabbing vultures and shaking them around until they regurgitate their meal, and then the marabou stork eating the vulture's food. So yeah, if they can manhandle something like a vulture, which is also a pretty big bird, then that gives you a good idea of the size and the strength of that marabou stork. See how he's looking quite intensely at the ground. I wonder if there's some insects. So this spot is one of the few water holes in this area, and so lots of animals do come from far and wide and drink water here. And so there'll be a lot of dung around there, so it'll attract a lot of flies and dung beetles. And there's lots of other insects, and so that attracts lots of other smaller birds. But I think that marabou stork might be after some of the insects that have been drawn in by the dung. Some beautiful bird calls around us as well this morning. one not so beautiful one. There's a European roller just like growling almost behind us. And the European rollers will also be attracted to this area for those insects. But we're going to carry on, head towards the area where those lion tracks were just called in. And I'm going to send you across to hyena and leopard.
Grant, good luck finding. So now the hyena, as you can hear, actually it's far, but not far away here. The sign where hyena just lay down flat. Pretend like it's not around. Probably this is how the leopard is sometimes trying to fool the leopard. We're just taking it easy right there. But the minute it's up, it's going to move right direction of that kill. Hyena, when they feed, they're very straight up. The feed difference to leopard. And they're even slightly to dogs, wild dogs, where they feed and then they're very straight and they're so strong, chopping these meat and swallow it immediately. And they're full. So after this meat all done, the leopard is going to move off. If he's polite enough, he's going to probably let it drop whatever's left. Bones. And the hyena would go drop him. Or pick him up. And they have a very strong tooth to crunch all these bones. The digestive system is so strong for a hyena. And now we're back to our leopard. It's no change. But also the meat is still there, balanced very well. Godfrey, so you're asking if the hyena attack leopard or other way around. So what hyena, they can attack leopard right away. And they're always behind the small cats, leopards, and those cheetahs, sometimes behind the dogs, wild dogs. Sometimes they give their life to danger when they need for their own benefit. But it's all about stealing from the other cats. So they always win leopard, the hyena. So it's now nothing going on because hyena cannot climb trees. And that's why it's just gonna wait there far distances. But if ever that meat drop, they will be competing. That leopard and hyena, they will be just focusing on one thing. So whoever get it first. If leopard get it first, get it up in trees immediately before hyena get hold of just any piece of a skin. Because it's also powerful. They can overpower leopard. That way. Sometimes sometimes also leopard, for their own safety, trying to avoid to be injured by hyena with those bites they have. So Bruce is asking how far is the way between here. So I can put about 35 meter, 40 meter, 35 meters somewhere roughly. So it's not far away. We just pan from the leopard. Now we're right at the hyena, so we're between them. So that hyena walk around behind the car and find himself a little bit of a perch there. And they lay down. And hyena, they're well built with a low back and high front. You know, reason for that. You just give it a lot of chances on the strength of taking carcasses way distance back to the den. Doesn't matter how far it is. And so you want to know why do the leopards breathing so heavily? It's because it's full and I have eaten so much of the meat. Where most cats, lions also do the same. When they have eaten so much, they lie down, but they cannot control themselves, and their tummy expands so much that they even involve their lungs to be shifted in one place a lot. And they have to breathe very fast to be able to make it. So now this is a force by their lungs, wanting oxygen at a time. But it's also one of the digestion system taking place when they do that. Summer, it brings a lot of benefit for cats, leopards, lions, because they also move during the day and they will move through this cover, tall grasses, so they don't come visible when they're trying to hunt during the day. We also, a lot of lamb, impala lamb, a lot of baby wildebeest that just spawn, a lot of babies this time of animal. For leopard, they don't have to kill all big game at all time. Survive from the small things, from lizard, from mongoose, squirrel hares, and these squirrels as well, birds. But what is good about getting a big meal is that they will spend a lot of time in the kill, not to move too much around. I'm gonna stay put here. I'm gonna be sending you across to Ngala, to Marana, to say hello to everyone.
Morning, and welcome to Ngala, where we are sitting and watching these marula fruits, waiting for them to fall down. I can't wait. No, it's gonna be, it's gonna take a little while. We've actually had numerous birds this morning, lots of eagles, lots of rollers, which we wanted to show you guys, but it's quite difficult with the birds. Most of the times when you frame them up, they just fly off. So my name is Marna, and with me behind the camera is BK. So this morning we're planning on looking for lions. We've had a few tracks heading back into the riverbed, and but no luck yet. So we're going to loop back around, maybe visit one of the larger water holes, and see what we can find. Yeah, like I said, I really can't wait for these fruits. They are delicious. It's like a sweet, sour taste. And as you can see, they're already quite big. Once they start dropping down, they turn yellow, and then you can eat them. You don't eat the skin, you pop out the seed inside, and it's like a see-through flesh. Not a lot of flesh in there. It's almost like the texture of a lychee. And then the pip also has, or the nut, there are 3 little nuts inside the stone. Which is also really delicious. I can't wait for them. They're really high in vitamin C, and a very nice treat for us, as well as for the animals. All right, but I think we're going to get moving and see if we can find any animals. Heard on the radio that they found some elephants in the east. We've only been seeing impalas and birds. Not that that's a bad thing, but let's see what else we can find. It has actually rained this morning as well. As you can see, the sun is starting to come out, but yeah, I think half an hour after we got mobile, it started raining on us. But it has cleared up. Just a little wake up for us. But this cloud cover is definitely welcome, especially if you're looking for cats. We're also happy to be back. I'm happy to be back. BK's been here the whole time. Yeah, but like I was saying, with this cloud cover, it's really nice to be out. And the cats also enjoy this bit of cloud cover because it's nice and cool, so they'll be moving a lot later into the morning. When it's sunny, you know, they just go lay under a bush somewhere and sleep. But now the chances of finding them are a bit better. They'll be active for a lot longer, so it's good for us. As far as we know, the Pride of Lions the Birmingham Pride have crossed out of the property. So we haven't seen them in the last 2 days or so. Few members. There was one of the lionesses with 2 cubs in the riverbed. And I think 2 or 3 other lionesses in a different area, as well as that denning lioness. But the rest of them have been seeing, or we've been seeing, people have been seeing on the neighboring property. Ooh, what's that? Something in the tree up ahead here. Let's see if he sits. Jerome's asking what the hardest animal to track is. Jerome, probably... Well, if we're going for the big stuff, it's probably a leopard, just because they're solitary and, you know, they're often like kind of, I'm going to say zigzag through the bush. You know, if you compare that to a pride of lions, they're usually in a big group, so there would be lots of tracks. So it's a lot easier to track, let's say, lions compared to a leopard. And also the areas where the leopards are, you know, the areas they frequent, it's a lot thicker. So definitely a lot harder to track compared to lions. Let's quickly have a look at this bird. Let's see. Ooh. All right. So it actually looks like a Wahlberg's eagle, but one of the pale morph. I don't know if you can see it clearly there on screen. He has got a small crest on the back of the head. And he is turning his head, so the wind is blowing the feathers up a little bit as well. But he's got a tiny crest there. He's got yellow and black on the bill. Yellow at the base, black at the tip. And then he's got like almost yellowish grey talons. Now with the Wahlberg's eagles, that little crest at the back of the head, that's usually one of the distinguishing features. I really like the pale morphs. They really are beautiful. This looks like a young bird. Seems like he's still changing color. Beautiful, those dark wings, and then almost like a, not really white, but like cream on the chest. Very pretty. And can you believe it? He's sitting, BK. Finally. That is lovely. So we've been seeing a lot of Wahlberg's eagles, but as well as lesser spotted eagles. Now, a lot of the times, you know, there are different morphs of the Wahlberg's eagle. Like I said, this is one of the pale morphs. But then also you get the completely brown Wahlberg's, which looks very much like the lesser spotted. So we have to look really closely to see which one it is. With the lesser spotted, they don't have the crest that the Wahlberg's is. You can actually see the crest quite nicely now. They don't have the crest. And then also they have what we call stovepipe leggings. So the leggings aren't as baggy, the feathers on the legs. Whereas these Wahlberg's, you can see there are quite a few feathers on the legs and it's quite baggy. So that's also a sign of a true eagle when it has feathers on the legs. The feathers go all the way down to the talons. All right, I think we're going to leave him to it and we'll see what else we can find.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
We've seen these ellies really chase wild dogs before. Let's get into the spot. There we go, there it comes. Look at that, isn't that amazing?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Our game plan has worked this morning. We have managed to get a little bit of a vantage point, and looking across the valley, we've found a lioness. She's asleep at the moment though, but we thought we'd stop where we spotted her just to show you what we actually saw before we go a little bit closer. And I know it's probably quite difficult to see, but I hope you can make out the lioness there. Her head is down now, but that light brown patch that you can see on your screen is a lioness. And she's just resting. Her head was up and she was looking in our direction when we first saw her. I just looked across the hill, or across the valley up onto that ridge, and saw like a much lighter color, and had a quick look with the binoculars, and it was a lion. So it seems she's been hunting in this area. We haven't actually quite got into the tracks that another ranger called in earlier. But we were heading in that direction, got a little vantage point and scanned across to find her lying there. Now I'm not too sure which lioness it is, but we are in the area that the Baala Pride spends a lot of time, or spends most of their time. Now the Baala Pride has got 3 lionesses. The one has got the 3 sub-adult male cubs. One has got the 2 younger male cubs. And the third one, we are pretty certain she's got 4 little cubs. So let's go have a closer look and see if we can maybe get a look at which lioness it is. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you across to Marna.
So from one marula tree to another, this one unfortunately had quite a bad fate, I guess. There are quite a few elephants behind this marula tree, and as you can see, it's been broken there. So there are the elephants, just feeding away. So what probably happened here is these elephants have pushed over this tree. Now, Vika, if we go back to that break, I just want to point this out, maybe to the top part. So if you look closely in there, you'll notice that there are lots of little holes, and those were wood-boring beetles that got into this tree and made the inside quite brittle, and it would have been quite easy for these elephants to push over this tree, I'm sure. Initially, the reason those beetles got in there was probably because an elephant stripped the bark, exposing the inside of the tree, and that makes it quite easy for these beetles to get in. And, like us wanting those marula fruits, I think these elephants were impatient, pushed this tree over, and now they've probably fed on most of the unripe marulas that are down there, and they're also feeding on the leaves. And we've been hearing them chew on the branches as well. Okay, let me just go slightly further forward. Keep going so we can get a better shot. And there we go, that's better. Good. Of course she moves now that we move. Alright. So this is a female that we've got here. Bika, if you can just get a shot between her legs there. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see that the mammaries are swollen. So this female does have a calf next to her, but that's one of the ways how you can quickly tell if it's a male or a female by looking at the elephants. They're one of the few mammals out here that actually have the mammaries between the front legs. So you can see that this is clearly a female. She is destroying that tree. It's already destroyed, I guess. Just trying to get some of the leaves and branches off there. We can actually hear her chewing. It's interesting that they're feeding on this, especially this time of year. You know, there's a lot of grass available at the moment, and normally that's mostly what they'll feed on at this time of year. So it's interesting that they pushed over this tree and now they're going for the branches, so getting to that cambium layer, the inner bark, and also the leaves of the marula, as well as the unripe fruit, like I mentioned. She's a beauty. Watch her wrapping that trunk around that branch. Oh, that was so easy. Another one. Such a handy tool, that trunk. Jeepers. So Dana's asking if elephants do a lot of damage to trees. Dana, yes and no. You know, they do a lot of the, let's say, gardening out here. So yeah, we see something like this and they have destroyed this tree, but because it has been damaged before and those beetles got in there, you know, this was bound to happen. So if we had another big storm, this could have potentially happened naturally as well. So yes, they do a lot of damage by pushing over trees and things, but you know, that creates another little micro habitat for other creatures like frogs and insects and all kinds of other things that we don't think about. We just see the pushed over tree and we're like, these elephants, they do so much damage. But you know, there are a lot of benefits to this as well. And even though this is such a big, beautiful tree, you know, others will grow, and there are a lot of other large trees in this area. If it is, however, a fenced area and there are too many elephants for, you know, a small reserve, then the elephants do a lot of damage. You know, then they'll just keep pushing the trees over. But luckily here it's an open system, so the elephants can move around, and yeah, they do push over trees, but like I said, it's not necessarily just bad. I don't know if you can hear that, like it's quite loud the way she's chewing on that branch there. It's hard to believe that she's getting any nutritional value from that. What you'll see her doing is she puts that branch in her mouth, and then you'll see it twisting around, and then she either just drops the rest of it or she takes it out again with the trunk. Like I mentioned earlier, she's after the inner bark, or what we call the cambium layer. So that's where most of the nutrients is. So she doesn't really just want the rest of the fiber. So they'll discard that after they've stripped the bark off. Nice little family breakfast. That's one of the youngsters there. Gregory's asking if an elephant would knock over a tree with a leopard in it. Gregory, in general, the elephants are usually, they're quite skittish around predators, even though, a leopard would never be able to take down an elephant or hunt an elephant. But most of the times they're quite skittish around them. Sometimes they'll chase them just to get rid of them because they don't want them around, especially if it's a herd with youngsters. As far as pushing over a tree with a leopard in it, I doubt it, eh? I doubt it. They'll probably move out of the area rather than trying to push over the tree. But that would be quite fun to watch. It would be interesting to see what the leopard does. If an elephant does attempt that, I don't know if the leopard would try and escape. The tree would be the leopard's safe space. So if an elephant started pushing the tree, I don't know if the leopard would come down. Probably just stay up there and hope for the best. That's quite a beautiful shot, actually, with the green vegetation framing them through this little window we've got here. Breaking branches. And the nice thing here, if these elephants leave and they don't eat all of the leaves and the fruit that's left there, other animals will also come and eat that. And that is one of the major benefits of these elephants pushing over trees in winter time, is they'll feed on the trees and the leaves that they've pushed over. And in winter, there isn't a lot of grass and even trees with leaves on them. So once the elephants leave, things like kudus and other antelopes will come and they'll also feed on that. Now, of course, there's no shortage of food, so this wasn't really necessary, but who knows why they did it. Little one also enjoying the branch there. Everyone's saying they can watch elephants for hours. I agree. Really is one of my favorites out here, especially a large elephant bull, one that's not in must. I think they've seen so many things out here, especially because they live so long. They've seen it all. So they're generally not too fazed with us being around them. And even this little family, they don't seem too bothered. It's always lovely finding them and watching them. Such a nice cool morning as well. What you normally find when you see elephants in the heat of the day, or even in the mornings when the sun's already shining, you'll find that they'll be flapping their ears or constantly flapping their ears. Whereas now, there's very little flapping, because it's so nice and cool. Got a bunch of youngsters. A few more calves on the other side. Right, we're going to sit with them for a little while longer, and we're going to send you back to Andrew at a roadblock.
Good luck, Mara. And we have left that sighting of a leopard. And we were probably going to go later on just to see if there's any change there. We let other vehicles went in. And now we got a mix of antelope here. So 2 species of antelope. Impalas as a mixed feeder and a wildebeest as a grazer, but short grass grazer. And this is how they love about to be together. There's not such a competition. We impala around here. They don't mind taking any sorts of short grasses. And they don't mind going for the last in terms of grazing where other species has been to. But it makes them so much of success as impalas. They never struggle finding their graze land or finding their browsers, because then they're actually mixed feeder. During the drought, we see a lot of animals starving to death, such as buffalo moose, example. Where now the impalas, they sustained during those hard seasons. It's just because they are mixed feeder. They don't mind taking any of the sorts of available food, browsing, grazing. But also allowing the other company of antelope be in the same spot. So you want to know how do impala communicate? So they have a sound. They make sound where some sound, sorts of few sounds they can make. Communicate from one another, communicate against when they want to unite with their babies. It's actually lambing time now where they sometimes separate from their babies. When you hear them, you would think of maybe a hawk or warthog snouting in the background. But also when they communicate, when they shout for a danger, which is a warning call, they can make sound as well. It's about the same with the wildebeest, but they make different sound compared to the impalas. And we're looking at the blue wildebeest, blue brindle gnu. Just take it easy on the ground. Right on the road, lying down. Looks like we're going to have a road block here. So this is where we pick up the female leopard track. And seen impala gathering around here. Looks like maybe is everything okay. But can't be not okay, maybe. But we'll find out because we're going to check the western end of the clearing over here to see if there's anybody visiting them. So we're gonna move on, search if there is a see if there's a Kalama or whoever is around. I'm gonna be sending you across to
good luck to Andrew and his leopard search. So we've come around to get a closer look at this lioness, and she's just put her head up. She's been resting and then scanning around, so when she puts her head down, she has like a short little rest, closes her eyes, maybe a little nap, and then she pops her head up again, and she has a good, very thorough scan of this surrounding area. And you'll see we're on the edge of a hill with a pretty clear view of the valley down below. And down in the valley there's some thicker wooded areas where there could be things like nyalas moving around, some of the other smaller antelopes, but then in the open grassy areas there's things like wildebeest and zebra, and I think that's what she's busy scanning for at the moment. And down in the valley just below us there's actually a little bit of water, some mud wallows and some small pans, which on a hot day would attract some of those animals to come and drink. So she's got a perfect vantage point here to stake out the valley below and also those water holes. But for now it's still quite nice and cool. There's a bit of a breeze blowing. I haven't been able to get a good clear look at the lioness. It's definitely one of the Biola Pride lionesses. But she's lying almost a little bit curled up because I think she's feeling a little bit cool today. But based on the area that we are in, I think it might be for those of you that were watching, it was about 3 or 4 days ago, with Devon, followed a lioness into a valley, the lioness that was showing signs that she had cubs. Some of you might have seen that rhino. It was just above the lioness, but I've just lost sight of it. Oh, it's gone down the hill. There was a big white rhino bull that we saw after we'd spotted the lioness and we were driving around. There was a big white rhino bull that seemed to be on the scent of something, most likely a female, and he was really on a mission. We thought he was heading straight towards the lioness, but he's gone past. So you'll see the lioness now is falling asleep. See how her head is hanging down towards her chest, and I think she is having another one of those little naps. So from where we actually spotted this lioness to where we are now, we did find some tracks of a lioness, and I'm sure it is her tracks. And it's only the one set of tracks. So it's also that is another indication that it might be that lioness with the very small cubs. They have only been seen once before, and then she's moved them back into the drainage line where Devon followed her to. GK, thanks for the question. So most of the time it's body language, but with these really small cubs, in the early phases, when mom wants them to stay in a den site, they instinctually just rest and lie down where mom leads them to or puts them. And these little cubs are still very, very young, so mom took them to this drainage line, which is like a temporary den site. We're not too sure what, there might be a little cave or a hole there that she kept them in, but she would give them some kind of a little vocalization or a sound that will tell them to stay put. They will also see, based on her body language, that she's heading out to hunt and that they shouldn't follow her. And then that same behavior is seen with the cubs as they get older. And when they start following mom around, when they're a little bit bigger, they follow mom, and if she spots a hunting opportunity while they're moving around, then the cubs again will be able to see from her body language that she's in serious stalk mode, and depending on the age at that time, they'll most likely just lie down where they are. And then at a later stage, when they see mom's body language changing into stalk mode, then they as well will get into a posture where they are using cover to conceal themselves, treading softly, watching their step. But yeah, her cubs at the moment, she will put them into the den, and either she'll leave when they are sleeping, or she will actually give them a physical indication that they must stay where they are. Oh, she might move soon. You see how she's starting to yawn, licking her lips. Maybe a couple more yawns and she will move. I was actually just admiring those muscles on her shoulders. And the thick, powerful neck. And this is quite a young lioness still. If you see her head in comparison to the rest of her body, her head is actually quite small. And with lions and lionesses, their heads grow with age, so their body sort of goes ahead, and then they have to grow into their body. And with the killing that they do when they've caught some prey, they have to give that suffocating bite. But also through feeding and crunching bones and cutting through meat, they build muscles on their jaw and on their head, and so their head does grow with age. And so a 7 or 8 year old lioness will have a much bigger head than a 3 or 4 year old lioness. This lioness is around about 4 years old now. And she's in beautiful condition, except for a few little scratches on her body. Very healthy. And judging by her stomach, doesn't look like she's eaten last night, or recently for that matter. That makes me think that she's been hunting last night, and she would still be looking for any kind of hunting opportunity at the moment. And she does keep looking across that valley to where we think she has left her cubs. And I wonder if she's thinking about, she might be thinking about the walk back, because it is quite far from here. From here to there is probably about a 1 or 2 kilometer walk. Either that or she's just thinking about and hoping that some animal is going to come try to drink some water there. So with this lioness showing signs that she might move soon, with the yawning, we'll see if she starts grooming, maybe stretching a little bit. So we're going to stick around and see what happens with her.
Welcome back to Ngala. We've left those elephants. They started moving further into the thicket. And we're on our way to the water hole. So we'll see what's happening around there. It is heating up quite nicely now. As you can see, we're driving into the sun at the moment, heading to the eastern parts of the reserve. It's always good checking these small little tributaries for leopards. You can see there are lots of big trees here. Nothing here this morning. So, at the waterhole, we're hoping to find some hippos. They'll probably be there. And I heard that there was some elephants also drinking at the waterhole. So, fingers crossed that they're also still around there. Usually, there's quite a few water birds as well. So, let's see what the waterhole has to offer.
Cool, so we have checked the western sector of quarantine, where it looks like this leopard actually was on a hunt around here the whole night. Because there's a track in the middle of the quarantine, and there's a tracks now heading back south again on the edge of quarantine. So I'm gonna go back where we was in Impala there, check carefully again. So see if maybe she's not hiding somewhere where we just couldn't find or see her. Because they're very sneaky. They would have just lie flat in these tall grasses. Ambush for the impalas. It's very open here, so it's not easy for leopards to approach very quickly to the prey species because they'll get spotted. So they'd rather just ambush and wait. So Errol, asking how these weathers, rain, affect the animal. So most of the antelopes, prey species, the affected, that they disturbed or confused when it's pouring rain because they lost control, they lost hearing. And then that time, that's where now lion, leopards hunt successfully, because there's a chance they would move straight to the prey species, not even stalking in it, because it's already too windy. It's a lot of windy days. It's actually so much of the prey species killed if it's so many predators in the area. So that's how it actually affects the prey species most. But there's a benefit for cats, because they have access to hunt very well in a rainy, windy day. But also, if it's too cold, most animals, they don't want to come to the open because it's cold. But in the thicket also it's not safe because they can't see properly or hear properly. We got a few birds of a blacksmith lapwings here in front of us. Those are the type of birds that are usually found near the water. Sometimes far from the water. Now the water's far down there, Gary Dam, where they were supposed to be. But now it's for a change. They go to hunt for little beetles and things. Scrape around the ground for worms, crickets. They're actually very pencil-leg. It allows them to walk to the shale of water, search for their special diet. Around the lake, that's where so many of the worms, because it's wet, and they're all earthworms around wet. And they'll hunt them, use their beak, stab them and get them out of the earth. And they actually nest a grounding bird. So I'm going to check around here. I'm going to be sending you across to Pinda, where the airline is.
So this lioness has decided to wake up a little bit more. After we saw her yawning when you were with us last, I thought she might get up and move, but she went straight back to sleep. And so we came around to get a look at the front of her. And now she definitely is showing signs that she might move. She's yawned again, stretched. See, the position that she's lying in now is a much more how can I say, a position that she can move from much more readily than when she was on her side. So you see how she's lying on her back paws, and she's got her front paws in front of her. So if we're reading lion, or actually cat, big cat body language, the position she's lying in now tells us that she might be ready to move at any time, at any stage. Because you see from how she's lying now, she could just stand straight up. Whereas when she's on her side, or half on her side and half on her front legs, she's got to then rock into the position that she's in now. You also might see a very relaxed lion with its paw turned upside down. Yes, Mario, she does look like she's deep in thought. I think she's actually in between sort of sleeping and waking up mode. You know, once your alarm has gone off and you know you have to be awake, but you don't really want to be awake yet. I think she's in that moment at the moment. She's got her head up and her eyes open every now and then, but she definitely wants to rather be sleeping. But I get the feeling that she knows she needs to be somewhere. But it's a beautiful pose that she's lying in for us at the moment. So just looking at her condition and her facial features. And remember I said earlier that she's about 4 years old, this lioness. So not too many scars on her face. Those little black spots that you can see on her body are flies, they're not scars. Still a pinkish color to her nose, where with age her nose will start to get a lot of black spots until eventually it's fully black. And if you look at her ears as well, you see the edges are perfectly rounded. There's not many nicks or cuts or pieces missing from her ears. And then she's got a little bit of loose skin around her belly, but that is mostly because of how she's lying at the moment, but also the fact that she has had her first litter of cubs. And I do think this is the lioness we were speculating about earlier, the one with the small cubs. Kelly, I was just about to say that. Just like a person, you know, you get those people that wake up with one alarm, and then you get those people that have to set 6 or 7 alarms, and just so that they can snooze. I definitely agree with you. She's hit the snooze button this morning. It's such a nice temperature as well. I mean, it's not hot, it's not cold. She doesn't have to, she's not panting. I think it's a perfect temperature for her at the moment as well. Wow, look at her face. Beautiful eyes. You get a nice look at that nose now, and you'll see there's some black spots starting to appear on her nose. Really, really beautiful lioness. Sure, Starlight, that's a question that has stumped me. I thought about it for a few seconds to try and think if I know the reason why. I don't think there's a specific reason to the color of the whiskers. But the skin if you had to shave the skin on, or sorry, shave the fur off of her whiskers, you might notice that the skin around the mouth there and the nose, the rest of the nose, is a black color, and so the whiskers will grow black out of that skin. I will definitely check if there's anything about whisker color, but I think it's just the color that they emerge. And then you're right, some of them look as though they're half black at the base, and then they turn into white, so half black, half white. But I'm fairly certain it's because of the color of the skin where the whisker is growing out of. And then the white will be to blend in with the rest of her body. Because imagine if she had black whiskers, the clump of black whiskers over there on her face will stick out quite a lot. Because remember, if you look at the back of her ears are black, and that's a huge contrast to the rest of her body. So if she had if all her whiskers were black, it would be a problem for her camouflage. So it just shows you lions have a mind of their own. I mean, I really thought she was going to get up. Jerome, thanks for the question. So if you look at the back of the lioness, or the top, the dorsal of the lioness versus the belly, you'll notice that the top is quite a dark color. And the reason is because lions are very well adapted to hunting in open grasslands and using grass as their cover. Now, at the moment, not ideal for her, because in the middle of summer the grass is really green and lush from all the rains. Oh, you see now how she's changed her position. That's the position I was talking about earlier. This is a resting position with her legs out, or her bottom legs sort of splayed out to the side. And Jerome, so the color of a lioness is light because of the fact that they are usually hunting in open grassland areas, so they've evolved to be a lighter color to blend in with their surroundings. And so when there's not much other cover than the grass that they are in, trying to hunt zebras and wildebeest, then at least they have the camouflage. But like if you have to think about now, when it's green like this, a lot of the bush is full of leaves, the grass is quite tall, so they can find other forms of cover, despite the fact that they are very light in color. And then, of course, when the grass dies off again and it goes back to being that light brown dead grass color, then her camouflage will come into play. And now that we've come around to the front of this lioness, I'm thinking her tummy looks like she might have eaten something in the last couple of days, but it also might appear to be quite full because of the milk that she will have in her mammary glands. So I think we'll stay here a little bit longer. I'm quite keen to see if this lioness is going to move or not. And in the meantime, we will send you to Andrew with some kudu.
So, thanks, Grant. Now, lions. We've got a lion's feast over here. Lion's meat, which is a kudu. So, we're looking at the female kudu that is coming out of the bush. And now I stop here because they're kind of like looking around so much, but they're not actually shouting or making any contact or any sound, warning sound. While I'm on a leopard track, we cut these directions through that block, heading westwards from the quarantine direction. So it happens you come this far. But nevertheless, the kudus are actually a very good sporter. They have very sensitive smells that they can pick it up in things around them. Hearing also great with these huge ears they got. So now they were talking about grazer and mixed feeder, which most grass eater and plant eater. Where here this antelope, it's a browser, mainly plant eater. And they do sometimes bend over to the ground for specific herbs and things, plants. Lioness lover, so you're asking how long can Gudu go without food? I'm not sure. They're actually ruminant animals that need to feed every time. So I don't think would go for 1 week without. Then it's gonna starve so much. So they need to feed daily. And most, even those are, they only a ruminate, and those can't chew cud as handicapped fermentants. They need to eat every time. But such as the ruminant antelope or most of the ruminant animals, feeding always, they have 4 different chamber stomach pockets. What happens when a chew first cud goes into the ruminant stomach, that doesn't mean they will be actually full or get satisfied for a day. So they still need to chew cud, which is a process of regurgitate and rechew again. This is when now they're going to have full stomach, but at the same time, the ruminant stomach is getting empty as they regurgitate and rechew again. And they'll need to eat again because there was a space that opened free from ruminant. vertical stripe. Male's about the same, but he has a horn, like spiral horns up. Megan, you say you love the marking. It's incredible marking this animal got here. And vertical stripe, it's called vertical stripe. And if you think of how that come about, it looks like somebody just kind of pour paint on top of that animal all the way from the hump side to down to the tail. You know when it happened? So the paint or whatever the milk sort of like go down and left the marking like this at the end. But you know, it's just a natural stripe. But most striped animals, it provides a camouflage, and they're in the bush. They don't come visible so much. Sometimes you do find them in the open area, but this is when they want to. And they can come out to the open, lie down, chew their cud. Always head back to the thicket for their special diet, which is trees. So you more find them in the woodland, like this. So I'm going to continue with my search along this road. I'll be searching on the ground, up in trees, possible of maybe this leopard female if she's still around. I just want to know which one, whether it's a Tlalamba or whether it's a Dulu. But we'll probably find out when we have luck find her. So this is what I'm going to be doing right now.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I am thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
My name is James Hendry, and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
So we're still on our way to the water hole, but on the way there we spotted this eagle quite high up in this tree. And just by looking at the posture, we guessed that it was probably a brown snake eagle, and on closer inspection, we were right. So if we try, are we zoomed in all the way, BK? All right, so if you can, it seems like we can see it on screen, but if you have a look at his head, look at the eye, and you'll notice that he's got a very prominent yellow eye. Now that is one of the distinguishing features of the snake eagles. I mean, there are other eagles with yellow eyes as well, but that partnered with the fact that he is brown, although you'll notice that he's got some white flecking under the neck. So it's still an immature brown snake eagle. And as well as that bill, you know, he's got quite a dark, almost grayish black bill. Very sharp tip to it. And the way they sit very upright in the trees. They've got a very nice posture. So even from a distance, even if you can just see the silhouette, it's quite easy to identify these snake eagles in the trees. We also noticed that there is a nest next to him. So if we go a little bit further to the right there's a nest. Now, I mean, if I didn't know this area and I hadn't seen birds here before, I would think maybe that was their nest. But I actually do know that is a vulture's nest. The brown snake eagles do make similar nests. I haven't seen them nesting quite as high up. This is quite a large tree. It's a big nyala tree on top of a termite mound. And they usually choose trees with a flatter crown, but it's also a very messy nest made with large sticks like that. So something very similar to that. I'm sure, you know, if the vultures had to move out there, brown snake eagles might try and use that nest. That's not impossible. But as far as I know, that's not their nest. I'm quite surprised that this guy's sticking around. Earlier I was saying all the eagles we tried to show you had flown off. And now we seem to be having some good luck with them, which is quite nice. He's obviously got quite a nice vantage point from up there. Like I said, it's quite a tall tree. And yeah, he might be looking for his next meal. We actually just saw a snake 15 minutes ago crossing the road. There are lots of snakes around at the moment, this time of year especially. And that is a large part of their diet. Snakes, lizards as well. Sometimes chameleons. I'm sure they'll take insects as well. I've never seen them doing that though. Right, we're going to continue to the waterhole. Let's see if we can get there. And we're going to send you back to Pinda with the lioness.
Oh, let's see what's going to happen. Welcome back. She stood up briefly. The moment we were waiting for. We did get a really clear look at her belly, and we could see that her teats do appear to have milk in them and some suckle marks around. So where the cubs have been drinking milk from her teats, there's some yellow marks, yellow stains around the nipples. And so this is definitely that lioness with the very young cubs. And I was so hoping she was going to move a little bit. Every now and then she hears some birds or something gets her attention, and she pops her head up and she looks really, really alert. There's some zebras calling in the distance. And so all the sounds are, she's taking in all of the sounds, trying to work out what's all around her, and maybe trying to decide on which direction she's going to head in. And she opened her mouth briefly there like she was going to start panting, or actually maybe even yawn again. And on this side of her, I'm just looking with binoculars, there are quite a few scars. Maggie, how long would she leave her cubs for to go hunting? So in the very early phases, maybe the first 2 to 3 weeks that her cubs are born, they are completely helpless. They're blind, so their eyes are actually still closed, and they don't have any teeth, and they need milk about every 4 to 6 hours. And so she will leave and try to hunt, but then if she's unsuccessful, she will return to the cubs. But as time goes, the older the cubs get, the longer she can leave them for, and usually after about a month or so, she can leave them for a whole 24 hours while she's out hunting. And once they are around about 4, 5, 6 months old, she can leave them for 2 days sometimes. By that stage, they are pretty tough. And as long as they are healthy, they will be able to last until she comes back. But also by the time that they are about 6, 7 months old, they've definitely started eating meat, and they will probably have really full bellies, and they will eat meat until they're full, and then once they've eaten meat until they're full, they'll even go on top of that and suckle milk from their mom. And so that allows them to be able to survive for a couple of days without mom. Alright everyone, so I think she's shown us that she's definitely not going to be moving anytime soon, and she's settled back down, definitely hitting the snooze button many times this morning. So I'm going to send you across to Lauren with a giraffe, and we're going to go and see what else we can find in this area.
We're still here, I promise. We have found 2 giraffes. And we're just taking a breather. We have had probably one of the most difficult sightings I have ever been navigated into. It was very tricky. We had Kuchava and Cub, and sadly, summer is just really working against us. It is so thick in some of the blocks, it became impossible. So I apologize. We did have them for you. They're together. They're traveling east on Chitwa, most likely be on Cheetah Plains soon. So I apologize. We tried, but it's just ridiculously thick. Just wonderful. It's beautiful. It's lush, but it's not easy to go off-road and follow animals whatsoever. But at least we've spotted this pair. Good morning. It looks like this one might be female. We're looking from quite a long distance visual. Sometimes when you get close to giraffes, they just walk off. Because a male in the distance, a female in the foreground. You see that 90-degree bend the giraffe's making with its neck? That in itself is what giraffes do a lot. That's how we know the necks did not evolve so that they could reach the top layers for food. They regularly bend down, and they're equipped to do so. They will also reach up high for that delicious foliage at the top of the trees. The only other species that would really compete with them for height would be elephants when they stand on their hind legs and they put their trunks nice and high to pull down the branches. But I think rumination was a topic of conversation earlier, and that's exactly what they're doing. Adam, I'm not sure what you mean by fragile. I don't think it really could be fragile. It's got 7 vertebrae, just like ours, and it's supported by lots and lots of muscles. So even although they have the exact same number of vertebrae as we do, of course the joint will be much larger in comparison to ours. And of course the spaces in between each vertebrae will be much longer, and that's how their necks are so long. But they've got what's called a nuchal ligament running down from the start of their neck right down to the base of their neck, and it's a huge ligament that's sort of helping pull the neck upwards. And then all the way from the giraffe's chin to its sort of chest area, if you like, there's another huge muscle. So it's equipped with lots of muscles holding it together. And of course, the bones themselves are much larger. At the base of the skull, there's actually an atlas axis, and this is a joint that allows the sort of skull to be able to tilt vertically to reach up and forage. So they've got special joints, special muscles. Everything's adapted for life with the long neck. The muscles act as a sort of anchor, if you like. And the ligament is not really muscle, actually, it's elastic tissue. And that holds the weight, which means it's helping them to conserve energy. If they always had to use muscular contractions, then that would use up a lot of the giraffe's energy. So it's not fragile at all. It's a very strong, powerful neck. And you can see that when the males are clubbing one another and necking. You can see how strong the neck really is. They slam it into one another. One of the worst sightings of giraffes necking I've ever had was in Swallow with Davy. And we could hear it from miles away, the sounds of them slamming the ossicones into one another using that force from the neck. It's very disturbing. Researchers also think that specialized ligament on the back there, you're pretty much looking at it, but obviously it's under the skin. It's going from the base of the head all the way down the spine until that hump, if you like. And it is called the nuchal ligament. A lot of researchers also think that it prevents the foot joints, believe it or not, from overextending and collapsing. So what that means is it's supporting the entire body of the giraffe. It's a huge ligament. And because it's elastic tissue, that means it's very flexible, but not fragile. They can move their neck in all sorts of directions. Yes, the ossicones are mainly used by the males, and they ossify as the giraffe gets older. So it's pure bone, and the males can use them as weapons, really, when they're fighting with one another. And as I mentioned, it's very disturbing. They can draw blood, can even be fatal. Although giraffes are very gentle, beautiful animals, and they are, watching two males fight, I find it really disturbing. And although fatalities are rare, they can kill one another. They will slam those ossicones with a lot of force into each other's rib cages, chest, head, and it can kill the other. So it's mainly used by the males for fighting. You can call this necking or clubbing. And the necking in males is normally to sort of establish a sort of hierarchy, establish who's dominant. Although they're non-territorial and they're just generally gregarious, they do establish who is the most dominant bull. And they do this through necking. And generally, they're not too violent. Normally, they establish who's dominant and who's submissive early on. But they can get really violent. Now, Tandy and cub were seen around this area as well, but I think maybe they've been separated by a herd of elephants. So I think Tandy's crossed into Torchwood, but that's our next mission, and hopefully it will not be too difficult. Jerome, always. They're always watching. They have really good eyesight, really good colour vision. And, of course, they can see for miles. They can see, got the height advantage, right across the landscape. They're like the lighthouses out here. So they're always chewing and watching. This one looks like it's got his cheek pouches very full. Lots of food in there. They eat up to 34 kilograms of foliage per day. They eat a lot. Lioness lover their height and their body weight. Really, the only predators of giraffes would be lions. Lions are known to take down giraffes, and it's more of a cooperative effort. So a giraffe's best defense is to kick. There's lots of disturbing videos on that deep dark hole known as YouTube of lionesses getting their jaws completely ripped off, and also not sort of being accurate in their judgment on when to pounce on the giraffe. And of course, one kick from that powerful animal and it could kill a lioness. A giraffe's weakest part is when it's on the ground. So if it panics or it topples or it trips, or one of the lionesses bite the legs and they go down, it's highly likely that the giraffe would get back up again. The lions would win. They're very weak on the ground. But when they're upright, they're not the easiest prey to catch, that's for sure. Visual of this giraffe. Maria, I just touched on that, but they're non-territorial. They just wander in search of food. So they're not territorial, and they form loose, temporary associations. They don't have strict social structures, but they're very gregarious, so they do enjoy spending time in the company of other giraffes, but they're not territorial. They'll wander, they'll roam. Okay, I wonder where to begin in our search for where Tandy might have wandered. It's just becoming more and more difficult. If the leopards are not on the roads, we're going to have a hard time following them. But I'm going to get on this radio, get some information, and we're going to send you guys across to Pinda.
How's that gap there, Odie? Can you see? Can you see there, Odie? If you look between the... We managed to find a couple of white rhinos that looks like they're lying down. You see between those two white dead trees. Just go straight through that gap. Got them. Yeah, it looks like a couple of white rhinos. 1, 2, I can see 3 sets of ears, at least 3 sets of ears. And they're just lying down having a snooze as well. I think all of the animals seem to be on Pinda, seem to be resting, enjoying the temperature actually at the moment. Yeah, the one on the left looks quite a bit smaller than the other two. It's definitely 4. There's 3 of them lying in like a triangle, the 3 on the right, and then there's one a little bit away from the group on the left. And this is quite typical behavior of white rhinos on Pinda. When the weather is like this, when it's overcast and a little bit cooler, they like to lie down and sleep and rest. And they wait for the ideal temperature. They're quite fussy. They don't like it to be too cold, don't like it to be too hot. Tango. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine they have to eat so much grass to sustain their body, and so that takes them, they're usually feeding for about 18 to 20 hours of the day. So it will definitely seem like they are always grazing, but they definitely do get full. And like now, I think these 4 that are lying down have full bellies. They look as though they might have at some stage visited some mud, so their skin is protected from the sun. And they don't have too much to worry about right now, and so they're definitely just getting some rest. Remember, for most of their lives, their priority is to rest and feed and preserve energy. And there's a couple of European rollers flying around. I've been seeing a few of them catching dung beetles. And this one might be in this area because of those white rhinos. When the white rhinos drop their dung, it literally takes seconds before the dung is basically teeming with dung beetles. really pretty birds with not such a pretty call. I'm not sure if everyone's heard their call, but it has a really rough, almost like a grating kind of sound. And even that roller is a little bit puffed up. You can imagine with the animals on Phinda and in these areas, when they get used to the warm weather, and then suddenly a cold day hits, it feels even colder than the actual temperature. Right, we're going to carry on exploring these grasslands, and I'm going to send you across to Andrew with a big cat.
Thanks, Grant. So we decided now to come to check with this Avoca male, and which he is now close to the dam here. We're right on top of the dam, where yesterday he was slightly far east of here. But his tummy is actually less, as we spoke about it yesterday. Those of you who were with us yesterday, that he's going to probably need to digest. By today, it's going to be less painting, which indeed it is, less compared to yesterday. The route that we take to search for that leopard, and since there was no tracks of crossing that road at all, we came close to this area of this position of a male lions. So he's probably going to be doing the same, just lying down, the last to digest. And the update of the whole pride this morning looks like they crossed back to Manyeleti Northern Reserve. So they're probably far from here. Steve, so you're asking what are the biggest prey species lion can take it down? Buffaloes and giraffe, those are the biggest out here they can take. They've been seen going for hippos, when the hippo out of the water. These young hippos sometimes, when there's a chance they isolate from the role of the group, there's a chance for the pride to chase it down and kill it. It's quite a lot of work for them to kill giraffe, but they gotta have an experience how to do that in a pride. A giraffe can also defend himself, can kick lions to death. Well, it's about the same with the buffaloes, also as deadly animals to human, also to lions. The lions, sometimes they lost their life, get stabbed by these sharpening horn buffalo to death. But they still try and hunt them. So I'm gonna stay put here. Doesn't look like he's gonna go anyway. I'm gonna be sending you over to Marna.
All right, so we are quite close to the water, and we found a nice little herd of waterbuck. Now, like the name states, these waterbuck, they're quite water dependent, and usually you'll find them within 2 kilometers of a waterhole. So that just shows you how close we've come. It's been our mission the whole morning. We're almost there. We've been distracted. How beautiful are they, though? So nice seeing them out in the open. And that hair on the neck, it almost looks like they're wearing a scarf, right? Really, really beautiful. So nice to see them facing us and facing the opposite direction, because you can see those distinct white rings on their rear ends, which is usually what people think when they think of a waterbuck, is the white ring with a target on the bum. One of my favorite features on them is the nose. So if this one looks back at us from the front, it's actually heart-shaped, because it's got that white lining around it. Let's just see if they look back. Look at us. Come on. The one in the back there, they're looking. The one on the... There we go. You can see they've got these heart-shaped noses. So beautiful. And I always say this, but, you know, they really don't look like they should be out here. Like in the African bush, you know. They've got such shaggy coats, and it looks like, you know, it could be quite a warm coat. I guess that's why they like the water. They almost look like alpacas or llamas to me. Also with those long ears. See little tails just swishing, chasing away the flies. Bunch of youngsters also here. This is about the average size of the herds that we see around here. Cindy's asking which animal waterbuck is closely related to. Cindy, it's one of the antelopes. I'm actually not exactly sure which is their closest relative. But it is an antelope, also like, you know, or the like a kudu and the impalas. But I do believe they're in the... It's probably kudu, I'd say, but I'd have to get back to you on that one. They don't really have the spiraled horns like the kudus or the nyalas. And if you see a bull, they've got these long curved horns. But there are different kinds of waterbuck as well. So this is I guess the common one that we see. And then there's also the De Faso one, which they occur further west, whereas you see southern and central Africa, you see these ones with the white rings on the rump, whereas the other one doesn't have the ring on the rear end. And they're also slightly more reddish almost. Seems like the youngsters are settling down there. Right, seems like Lauren's found some elephants for you. We're going to send you over back to Juma.
We've lost our views at the moment. We do have a herd of elephants, a lovely herd, but I've got an open area here. Let me see if I can... Can you work with that, Davi? It's a breeding, feeding herd. There's lots of youngsters here as well. There we go. It's definitely not been a lucky drive today, but at least we've came across this elephant herd. I'm thinking of racing to the hyena den just to see if anybody's popped out. It's not warm. We've had some drizzle. We had to put our covers on. But then the drizzle appears to have stopped. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with the weather. You can hear them. Normally you can hear elephant herds before you see them in summer because the vegetation is so thick. It's a big mama. And you see she's not flapping her ears so much. She will a little bit, but it's not that sort of incessant flapping when it's really, really hot. It's just a little bit of flapping, just keeping her ears mostly tight to the body. Okay, now she's flapping. She's thrown me under the bus here, but generally speaking, when it's not too hot, they don't really flap. They don't need to. The blood vessels, that sort of network of capillaries in the ears, will constrict, which means they'll get smaller and it will reduce the blood flow pumping to the ears on colder days. The ears won't remain entirely still, though. They also act as sort of fly swatters. The tail does the bulk of it for the sort of sensitive areas, but other than that, moving their ears can also help just keep away any nasty insects that are maybe swarming around their head or their neck, areas like that. And that's why you have to be extra cautious driving in summer. Although we do Ferrari safari for things like dogs, you have to be really, really careful because you may not see the elephants as you would in winter. You don't want to turn a corner at speed and get a surprise. Summer is wonderful, but it brings a lot of challenges, especially a summer as lush as this. Not many challenges for the elephants, though. Water everywhere, food everywhere. There's a choice of food. You can take whatever you fancy. When we talk about species, when they're separated geographically, they're still the same species. I'm not talking about subspecies, but there will be adaptations to the environment. Every organism has to adapt to their environment. And for example, in the low veld, the diet of an elephant changes so drastically between summer and winter. Especially in very harsh winters, they have to adapt and eat a lot more branches and a lot more sort of shrubbery than they would do in summer. In summer, they'll eat their diet will compose of mostly grass, really, They will browse, but it'll be about sort of 80% grass, if not more. And this is not only nutritious and extremely palatable, it's a lot easier on those molars. Now it completely flips in winter when the grass dies, the foliage falls off the trees, the vegetation is not as lush and as thick or nutritious, so they will adapt and they'll start eating a lot more shrubbery. This has high impact on their molars. Then if you take the elephants up into Masai Mara, because it's a completely different location, completely different environment, their diet is normally consistent all year round, and it's normally composed of mostly grass. So the elephants in the Masai Mara are said to possibly live a little bit longer because there's less impact on those molars, which is normally the cause of death, apart from disease and parasites in elephants. So depending on where you find the elephants all across Africa, they will have unique specializations within their diet to suit the environment. There will always be differences across the board to species that live in different environments. Is that a youngster coming to join her? I can only just see. I'm just here. I think so. The young elephants get lost in the long grass now. Okay, I'm going to try my luck, which hasn't been great today, at the hyena den one more time, and hopefully it's active.
Welcome back, everyone. And we are still in the area where we left that lioness. And we've found the zebras that we've been hearing calling this morning. And what I have heard on the radio, which we're trying to find now, is that one of the other lionesses from the Biola Pride, the one with the 3 sub-adult male cubs that are moving with her, she was able to kill a wildebeest foal. And so it seems that those zebras that we've been hearing calling this morning, that foal might have belonged to that herd. And we've been seeing some yellow-billed kites circling around this area. You might be able to hear that calling of the zebra. Oh, Owen, can you see if you can try and get the other lioness? Do you see just to the left of the road where there's the car? Just to the left of the car. That's the lioness we were with. She's coming towards the road. She's just off the road.
And we've reached the waterhole. And there are some elephants down here as well. You can see some zebras in the center of the screen and coming in on the left there. Elephants actually look like they're just leaving, so I'm sure they've already had some water to drink. The zebras just came running down, but it looks like they're skipping the water for now. Quite a lovely scene though. I love sitting around the water holes this time of year because it's so green around here, which makes for beautiful pictures. also see on the other side of the waterhole, there are also some more elephants heading off in the distance. You can just see the ears. There's a youngster running to the right there now. And some more zebras. So it looks like there might have been two different herds down here. Actually really nice to find elephants down here. This time of year, because there's so much water around, there are lots of puddles and smaller water sources scattered all over the bush. The elephants don't have to come to these larger water sources. So it's really nice finding them here. Sometimes you'll find that they won't necessarily come to drink at these larger water holes, but they'll come to just cool down. They'll wet themselves, sometimes come for a swim, and then maybe for a nice wallow. There is a nice mud hole just to the north of this water hole where we sometimes see them bathing. Nice seeing so many zebras around as well. Woodstock is asking how big is an elephant's footprint. I guess it depends on the size of the elephant, but a large elephant, I would say maybe like 30, 40 centimeters, maybe about this big. It's quite large. And then what you'll notice, I'll see if we can find some elephant tracks maybe later for you. But what you'll notice is that usually the front tracks will be very round, so about this big if it's a big bull. And then the back tracks will be oval, and that's because most of the weight, they bear most of the weight on the front legs, so that's why they're round. The head is very heavy, so it's very round, and then the back tracks are oval, and then you usually see like a little scuff mark there as well. They've got big feet. And around a waterhole is actually the perfect place to see these big tracks. I can't see any in the mud on this side at the moment, but it's also not a good it's not a good idea to walk along the water's edge anyway, even though we know there are no crocodiles here. Well, we've never seen any crocodiles here. These crocodiles might move, so if there's a crocodile somewhere else and its water hole dries up, it will move. And this might be the first water source it finds. And then, we think there are no crocodiles, walk along the edge here, and a crocodile will take just about anything. It's one of the few animals out here that would actively just go for a human as well. So you never know with them. Stay away from the water. You see one or two hippos in the water there. They're not very active now. I'm sure they've had a long night, so they're just relaxing. There's one of the heads. Just relaxing. I think it's just the two of them here at the moment. I did see more nostrils on the other side just a few moments ago. They can stand under the water for quite some time, so let's just see, for about 6 minutes if they want to. There we go. There's the other. Oops, and he's back down. Also just saw the nostrils there. If we go over to the right, that dead tree there, because there are quite a few Egyptian geese under that tree, and they've actually got youngsters there. They are very successful around this waterhole. Last time I was here, there were actually 2 pairs with youngsters. So there were a lot of little gooselings, ducklings, whatever you call them. And they are very territorial, these Egyptian geese. So a lot of the times you'll find that they actually chase away the other water birds. lots of youngsters there. Let me see if I can count. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Everyone's saying a lot of action around the waterhole, indeed. There's usually a lot happening around the water, especially if you look closely. You know, at first glance you might get here. I mean, we were lucky with the big stuff that was, like the elephants were around here and the zebras. That was quite easy to spot. But usually when you sit here for a while, you know, you see the smaller things coming out as well. Lots of terrapins in the water, maybe some frogs and smaller water birds along the edge of the water. There's usually something happening here. I can see there's another, I was just saying the Egyptian geese, they usually chase away all the other water birds. But there's another white-faced whistling duck there. Kate is asking if hippos float when they sleep. Kate, normally if they're sleeping in the water like this, they're probably on like a little sandy bank in the water there. They don't really float. They can float though, but I don't think it's when they sleep. When they sleep, they'll be on a sandy bank. That one you'll notice is coming up and down, up and down, up and down. They don't actually swim either, so usually they'll just walk on the bottom and then they float up to get some air, and then they'll go back down. But where that one is at the moment, I'm sure it's nice and shallow. So he's either standing up or laying down on like a sandy section. And the funny thing is, like we never see hippos basking on the banks here like you do in other areas. And I for a long time I wondered about this and I couldn't figure it out. But then I realized that we, at all our water holes, you know, we have these steep banks, and also we don't have very sandy banks. And in other areas where I've seen hippos out of the water, you know, they're usually laying in the sand on the sandy banks. And I guess that's the conclusion I came to, at least. That's probably why they don't do that here. You can see his back. Looks like he's standing up now. Oh, but they're not going to be doing anything anytime soon. They'll be relaxing in the water until this afternoon when it gets a little bit cooler and darker, and then they'll go out to feed again. All right, we're going to sit here for a little while longer, see if anything else comes down to the waterhole, and we are going to send you back over to Andrew.
So we had left the line, the middle line. They started to pour a little bit harder, and then he went off to the bush. So we decided to leave him. But I don't know, I don't think he's going to move too far away. It's already a little wind and it's opening the sky again. So that it's probably because of the old cloud is still there. Sometimes dark cloud come in with the rain. When it's over, as you can see from there, still a lot of a dark cloud coming in. So this is where we stand right now, but I don't think it's going to be like this all day. So because, you know, it's still quite a great type of morning time where it's going to be clear up, I think. So I left him. I'm deciding now to go check a few other roads. I still actually have a lot of hope for that female leopard that the track was seen around Quarantine cutting west these directions. But the best thing is to check whether she crossed west into Simambilo or Arachuza. That we know she may be still around in Gari. So I'm gonna check further to the south. I'm gonna be sending you across to a Pinde.
Welcome back, everyone, and we are now looking at a different lioness. This is the other lioness from Payola Pride with the two youngsters. Do you know what's going to happen, Owen? I want you to go up onto those zebras. Remember that other lioness? She was with close to that vehicle. I think she might be trying to ambush those zebras now. No, it's turned. Maybe it's seen her. So it sounds as though this lioness, we've just managed to find her now. It seems as though she is panting and her belly looks quite full already. We haven't gotten closer yet, but I think she's got a wildebeest foal there. So we will try and head a little bit closer. Just want to keep an eye on what's happening with those zebras up there. I will let you know. But that line of zebras were walking straight towards the other lioness. And the crazy thing about the lioness that is close to us here now, we've driven up and down this road maybe 4 or 5 times now, and she must have been lying down. Oh, you can just see one of the cubs poking its head out from behind Mom. And she must have been lying down every single time because you can't miss her now. Call for ground call. Cole, where is that lioness to you?
I don't have a visual. I actually just hung around a little bit because I thought she was going to stalk me, zebra.
Okay, copy. I think those zebras have just looped around the car that's up there. And I'm sure that lioness is still in that area. The zebras are on the move quite steadily. They're heading towards where there is a little pan. The pan that we were sitting at where we saw the marabou stalk earlier this morning. And so if we lose sight of those zebras going over the hill, they're not stopping to feed or anything like that. They're just moving at a pretty constant pace. So we're looking out for any movement. Yes, Dave, the zebras will smell the lions if the lions are upwind of the zebras. The problem is the wind is coming from those zebras towards us, and the lion is between us and the zebra, so technically the wind isn't carrying the smell of the lion towards the zebra. That's what would need to happen. But the other thing is, like, prey animals do use the smell to detect danger. The problem is the smell of predators is all around. It's pretty much all around all the time, and so they don't rely heavily on the smell. I think if maybe it's more pungent than normal, then maybe they will be extra alert. But from here, where we are and where the lioness is in relation to those zebras, the zebras wouldn't be able to smell the lion. Do you see the rhino there, Owen? We've got a rhino in our view as well at the moment. And it looks like it might be the same big bull that I mentioned to you earlier that we didn't quite get a look at. He was on a bit of a mission. But right now, it looks like he's visited some mud. And at the moment, he's just busy grazing there. So the zebras have gone up and over the ridge. Seem to have somehow avoided that lioness. I'm not so sure where she went. So let us go and have a closer look and see. I mean, the mom and the two youngsters, they don't look as though they're feeding anymore. But there might be some of that zebra carcass left. So let's try. Hopefully you guys will stick with us. So we're just going to go down a little bit closer. For those of you that are a bit more sensitive to the gory stuff, just be ready to look away. But I suspect with a big lioness and two hungry young lions, I don't think there's going to be much left. While we do that, I'm going to quickly send you across to Lauren.
Well, it's the very end of drive, but we got there. Took a while. I think Wendy's engine is probably needing some TLC, but we do have Miss Tandy. And Davi's giving you a view of exactly how difficult summer really is. Look at that. She only just stands out. Now, she was with her cub, her son, but from what I could hear on the radio, elephant herd separated them. So I'm sure they'll reunite. He can survive. She regularly leaves him. She'll normally call for him, contact calls. But I don't think he'll be too far away. I'm glad we got that view because I don't know how easy it's going to be from now on. Okay, Miss Tandy, where are you going to take us? We're now on Torchwood, so she crossed over from Chitwa side. She's spending a lot of time on Chitwa. It's actually nice to see that she's back on Torchwood. I'm just going to drive really, really slowly. Let me know if you see her, Davi. Okay. There we go. Many of you are happy to see Tandy. Me too. Hello, dear. Are you going to cooperate with us? That would be really lovely if you did. Isn't she beautiful? Older leopardess, still in great condition. It'd be so lovely if she made a kill as well, and then we had both her and her son on a kill. I said to Davi earlier, I could be wrong, but we're finding a lot of leopards at the moment. Having a lot of leopard luck. And I wonder if it's because they themselves are spending a lot more time on the roads, because it's not easy walking through this. You're a short animal and you've got to walk over all the vegetation. It's not easy. You're going to spend a lot more energy than you would normally. So obviously she's walking through the vegetation now because she can. But it's not going to be as easy as just walking along a nice soft road. We've got the eastern boundary, Cheetah Cut Line, right in front of us. Nice and smooth, no grass to climb over. I wonder if that's why all the properties are having a lot of leopard luck, considering it's summer. I can see her there. Let's try and get round. I don't know if you'll all agree with me, but I personally feel... Can you work with this, Davi? Tandy's son and Kuchava's son are remarkably similar in appearance. If you compare images of the two of them, they're very, very similar. You could almost mistake them for brothers. They are related, of course. To what degree, we don't know, because we don't know who the fathers are. Just keeping nice and low to the ground. I wonder if she's spotted something there. Kim Twister, you're saying you just love her. She's so elegant. I agree. How can you not love Tandy? She's elegant yet fierce. That's how I would describe her. If I was a leopard, I would not mess with Tandy. She has that fierceness about her. But elegant, absolutely, and a survivor. 14-year-old leopardess, raising a cub, still territorial, still thriving. Yes, she looks older, she does. Her face, her teeth, her ears, her sort of tummy. You can tell she's an older leopardess, but it doesn't mean she's losing condition. She's got Kuchava to the east of her, really. Tlalamba to the west of her. There's a lot of leopardesses in this area. There's more leopardesses than there are male leopards, which is normal, of course. The male leopard's territories are much bigger, so there won't be as high a density of males as there will be females. The females slot nicely into the males' territories. I'm so glad we decided to make that call and race down together. Okay, hopefully we'll manage to stay with Tandy and we're going to navigate round and try and get a better view.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephant, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Sorry about that, everyone. We had the most perfect shot of Dundee and she's moved once again. The timing on this drive has not worked in my favour. You just have days like that. I'd like to try and relocate her for the last few minutes of drive. Can you see her? Okay. Okay, I will do my very best here, and we're going to try and send you guys back across to Pinda.
Sorry about that, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for the last segment. I think I was saying, or I did say in my excitement a couple times, wildebeest calf, and I definitely meant zebra foal, which you can see lying off to the right of that lioness. And you will notice that it has been fed on quite a bit. So most of the back quarter of that zebra foal has been eaten. You'll see the cub's belly, so it's mom and the cub to the left of it, and then the other cub has found a very comfortable spot in the long grass. You'll see that cub that we can see at the moment's belly is very, very full. And the crazy thing is that it's busy watching more zebras, like it's not full enough. The grass just moved where the other cub is lying. So this is the other lioness from the Bahala Pride. And so the only one we were missing this morning was the lioness with the 3 sub-adult males. But really nice to solve the mystery of why those zebras were calling earlier, and I definitely think it's the mom of this foal. But what a fabulous way to end the drive, finding this. And thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.